Well, hello. Hello, hi, it's me, this hi. Smotan Didi, or Kadian Didi, internet, and Akastraha, and Bakalau Yala. I don't even know how I'm gonna do this, honey. The former VC of UCT, one Mamokgethi, what's her surname? Panke or something? Pake. What is, you know what? Mamokgethi. Mamokgethi had a back and forth. She bought tickets to the Chris Brown concert, right? I was initially going to insert somebody's compiling of her tweets because there were so many. And I don't know if I'll still do that. But she posted about how see you guys on the 14th at the Chris Brown whatever thing. And people were so disappointed in her and they expressed as much. And there was a back and forth. Maybe I'll insert it here. The person.
Okay, I'm sure you all know that Chris Brown is coming to South Africa. I'm sure you all know that many people have many thoughts on this. This has been discoursed to death by this point. And I'm actually going to link the video of a mutual of mine who pretty much summed up my overall thoughts on the situation very nicely. But today we are going to be talking about one specific person and their particular response to Chris Brown coming to South Africa. And that person is the one, the only fab academic, former vice chancellor of UCT. So she posted all the way on the 1st of October that her tickets were secured and that she was going to go be seeing Chris Brown in concert on the 14th of December. But within the past day or two, her posts stirred up some discourse on the website formerly known as Twitter. Someone quote tweeting her tweet about securing Chris Brown tickets with this post from her from previously saying, "Nothing infuriates me like sexual and gender-based violence. I strongly condemn all acts of SGBV without reservation. Students who engage in such conduct will be prosecuted. It's about time men, young and old, do something. Women can't be victims and also expected to find solutions." And someone tagged her in this saying, "Lol, this you." So her response to this comes on the 7th of October saying, "Yes, it's definitely me. Even today, I'm totally against GBV and strongly condemn it in all its form. I believe that those who perpetuate GBV should face the full might of the law without expectations or leniency. But let me be clear, just in case the message didn't sit well, I'm going to attend Chris Brown's concert if he comes. These two are not mutually exclusive. To suggest that enjoying a concert automatically aligns you with every past action of the artist is, at best, simplistic and at worst, intellectually dishonest." She goes on, "Music is bigger than the individual. It connects us and heals us in different ways. Some of us are capable of loving art while still holding artists accountable. Attending the concert does not magically erase our moral stance on GBV. It does not make us hypocrites, nor does it make us blind to the gravity of Chris Brown's past actions. In this case, I don't even have the full details of his past actions. I simply love his music. If you hold a different view, then big ups to you, but please do not impose your narrow beliefs on me or anyone for that matter." Then continues, "If you think that boycotting this one concert is going to end GBV in South Africa, you are delulu. And unfortunately, I can't help you. I mean, the number of people who bought tickets is enough to secure a political party at least 3 seats in the National Assembly. That's what should be worrying you. Instead of educating them by making strong intellectual arguments about how their attendance at the concert affects GBV cases in SA, you'd think that insults directed at me and petitions signed by 12 people will make a difference. Please. Now, instead of policing each other's entertainment choices, let's direct that energy into genuine and meaningful activism against GBV in our country. This cancel culture nonsense is so 2020. It's 2024. You can't be that entitled. If you think insults are going to make me change my mind, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm going to the concert and need no one's permission or support in this regard. But also, if you think that attending will silence my voice against GBV, then I'm sorry to disappoint you again, because I will continue to speak out against GBV and educate our young men on how to be decent, loving human beings. I am done addressing this matter. See you all on the 14th of December at FNB Stadium Hall of Fame section. Ends." Spoiler of this, I will attend every concert I want until I choose otherwise. It's a free country, right? Or that freedom only reserved for just abortions. And posts a screenshot of these tweets saying, "If I didn't have that abortion, I would be a mother to an almost 3-year-old. Looking at my life now, it was the best decision ever. I can barely afford myself." Which, to note, this sent a barrage of hate and abuse towards this person who made these tweets, Yoli Shade, sent a huge amount of abuse her way because Fab Academic has a ton of followers on X. So someone responds to this whole fiasco saying, "You're so embarrassing. Abortion is legal in South Africa and abuse is not. I can't believe this woman," which, for real. And then we get another long essay. "You've missed the point completely, but let me indulge you. No one is comparing GBV with abortion. Read again. We're comparing buying concert tickets and having an abortion. Two independent choices made by two different people. Person A feels her abortion choice is right and condemns person B's buying of concert tickets as wrong. Person B believes people should have the freedom to make whatever choices they deem right for themselves, including abortions, and buying whatever concert tickets they want to buy. At no point did she judge anyone for aborting multiple times voluntarily." Even that statement is riddled with judgment in just that sentence alone. You can't say you're not judging, but also, everything she has tweeted, and I'll show you more examples, regarding this woman and her abortions has been, the judgment is palpable. Then she also says, "But remember that legality does not equate to morality. Apartheid was legal, war is legal, even euthanasia is legal in some places. The fact that something is allowed by law doesn't automatically mean it's morally sound. If we're going to talk morality, we have to face the uncomfortable truth that everyone's sense of right and wrong is subjective. You can call me names or even spend the entire night shouting, but that fact will not change." So now she's trying to argue, moral subjectivity, to justify her buying concert tickets to support an abuser. Because also, this comparison does not hold water, because person A, who had an abortion, is not having an abortion and then coming around and saying, "Oh, but we must be pro-life, guys, we must support, the fetuses, blah, blah, blah." Person A is staunchly pro-choice, and her actions and her words are in alignment. She made the choice that was best to herself, and she believes that everyone should have the right to make the choice that's best for themselves when it comes to reproductive health. Person B is buying tickets that are directly going to financially support someone who is accused of abuse, specifically gender-based violence, but then preaching that no, we must be against gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is terrible. So person B is being a hypocrite. Yes, it's a free country. She can make whatever decision she wants to when it comes to buying concert tickets, but that does not mean that people aren't going to then point out that her actions and her words are not in alignment. Then Fab Academic tweets and deletes this. Imagine how peaceful her day was going to be had she just decided not to judge and insult a random stranger on Twitter for buying some tickets. Nonetheless, let's forgive and forget, and deleted this because she knew that this was the tweet that tweet was posted in response to. Like, she was really, there's been so many back and forths in her replies. Like, I was scrolling through her replies for ages trying to get all these screenshots. Also, I was doing so from my second account because, to make no mistake, I am blocked on my first account. In response to someone saying, so according to your morals, abortion is wrong, she said, I am respectfully pro-life, but I do not judge those who choose to abort because they do so for different reasons. Even if you were to tell me that you voluntarily aborted 5 times, I will give you a quick bombastic side eye, but I would never insult you. I just want people to live their lives the best way they know how. The problem starts when you want to judge my choices. Except, literally by saying that you are judging. Like, is a bombastic side eye not judgment? Am I delusional? Like, anyway, she ends off with this tweet. Hey Siri, please play Don't Judge Me by Aish. I forgot the name of the artist. Please help anyway. Happy Wednesday. Remember to spread love and kindness, but at the same time, let no one dance on top of your head. Defend the truth and principles without fear. Except, you know what?
I agree with a lot of what she's had to say. But hey, hi guys. She says what she says, and then people tell her that they're really disappointed in her supporting an abuser. And then, like I said, I recorded that other video that I posted on Chris Brown earlier in the week, and I got busy. I couldn't put it up for you guys, and I'm sorry about that. So when her things happened, it was after, which is what I was speaking to in that video, as to, you don't need to defend this man. You can just go, and you don't need to defend this man. There's something about Mamokgethi that we really need to get into. Anyway, she does a back and forth with people, and then at some point she goes to find this other person whom she's doing a back and forth with. She finds their tweets from whenever, where they're talking about fetus deleters and how they had an abortion. And I can't remember what she said in there, but it gave very much shaming of one taking like control of their reproductive health, or they making it, or somebody being pro-choice and all of that stuff. And she's basically trying to draw a comparison there to say that, what one person may see as wrong, another person may see as this, or whatever the issue is. This left like particularly a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm like, this person for a stretch was responsible for a campus or a whole institution where on these campuses walks young women who things happen to them at university, right? And they find themselves requiring the services of fetus deleters, specialists, and things like that. And even if it's not that it's something traumatic or they've been raped or anything of that, they're just young. They're trying to make sense of life. They find themselves in situations where keeping these pregnancies is not. This person at some point was tasked with that responsibility of creating a culture in an institution. I'm like, wow. Because it gave very much shaming. And I'm like, in which day and age are we still shaming people for abortions? Like, when it made me realize that's why there isn't a lot of fanfare for her. A day later, people had to come out and apologize to her. It was giving weird. It was giving, why are you guys apologizing? Did somebody call you to say, what happened? What happened there? But they came out and they apologized. But Mamokgethi in particular, for me, I remember when she was appointed and she was doing her press interviews and doing whatever, she's not my cup of tea in particular. For such an accomplished woman, there should be a little bit more fanfare. There should be a little bit more Black women, young Black women in particular, looking to her for guidance or inspiration or whatever. But there's no resonance there. And there's no resonance, and we see why now. I mean, I saw it then as well. She just doesn't give off girls. She doesn't give off I want to have a coffee with her and pick her brain. She just doesn't. And she tries hard. She tries very hard. she was questioned about her decision to go and watch Chris Brown, and she spiraled like tweet after. It's giving authority that does not like to be challenged. I can't imagine that works out great when you're in the leadership position. Like, I really can't imagine it works out great to work under a person who, like, she spazzed the fuck out online. And we must get to, I think her PhD is in mathematics or whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean you're socially bright. That just means you know how to do some numbers. I'm sorry. Like, honestly, she misses the mark one too many times, you know. That's why the connection isn't there. That's why she doesn't have like a cult following, if you would like, of like fangirls just fatting out for her, thinking she's such an icon, she's such an idol, you know. She dresses very she doesn't dress old, you know. That when I say she's trying, she, you know, she's on socials, she does back and forth, she's in the spaces with the people while not being one with the people. There's just no, it's not there, and it's never going to be there for her. And I don't know who's going to tell her that, because I can tell she wishes it was. I can tell she just wants to. I don't. She's an academic who really just wants to be a fun girl, but like it's not landing. And I don't know how else to explain that. Shaming people over having abortions, and then 2 days later, people are coming out giving like half-assed apologies, is giving bully. It's giving every little bit the bully. Like, and I'm not even suggesting that's what happened. I'm saying that's what it's reading as over here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, she dresses young and not, I'm not saying inappropriate, but she's trying, and it's not landing because it's giving very much not a girl's girl. Like, her, when you see her in interviews, and I think it would work better if she were a man. We would excuse a lot about whatever it is about her that's not landing with us if we're a man. Because if you're a man, you just need to have the right thing. In this instance, she has a PhD, right, in what people would deem a respectable, because, you know, they make fun of anything that's like gender studies or anything like that. She has a degree in the right field. So if she were a man, she would have a club of fanboys. Definitely she would. But it's not landing with the girlies. It's not. It's not, you know how we would all come to the defense of one Thuli Madonsela at some point, because we just thought like she carries herself with so much grace, she's so poised and stuff. And she didn't even have the best wigs, but we still went up for her. See, Mamokgethi is the right look. Like, she actually has nice hair, and she's got nice clothes, and she's got that. But like, we are not connecting with her. Something is missing there, and she's never gonna figure it out. There's no formula. Yeah. It's no numbers. She can like crunch and do stuff to make it such that she can like get to a point where she has this support, especially, and adoration of Black women and young Black women in particular. That's not her story. She needs to lean into something else, and I don't know what it is, because she very much does like being famous. If there was a reality show that was somewhere along like her industry kind of whatever, like an academia kind of, she'd find herself on it. That's what we're dealing with here. Very disappointing, but whatever. Something else happened that I wanna, this guy, I was on Instagram browsing, minding my own business, never doing that, and I came across this.
We tie ourselves, for example, I'm going to say this controversially, we tie ourselves to my location.
Sure.
You know, like we're from Kokasi, and if you're not Black, if you're not from Kokasi, whatever. But if we look at history, the locations are concentration camps.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what they are.
I've often argued that Casio is not meant to be a happy place.
No, it's not.
So don't judge people who want to get out.
And that's why I don't tell, sorry to say this, Kasi stories.
You don't romanticize it.
No, I don't. I don't romanticize poverty porn. I don't romanticize this. If you're telling me about Sipume Laleni or something like that, you know, I can respect the village life, because for me, a village person is way wealthier than somebody. Yeah. It's not even a comparable. Yeah. You know, someone who can do subsistence farming is much wealthier. Mm-hmm. And in my films and etc., I either show Black affluence in terms of a modern society, or Black affluence regarding our traditional values.
Sure.
And I try to remember, you know, just to preach the message, which There's a reason why a lot of negative things happen in Kokasi. They were designed to be like that.
It's not meant to be a nice place.
No, it was designed that. So a little, if you know your history though, you'll understand that.
Okay, this was on DJ Fresh's podcast and he was interviewing. His bio says he's an actor. I think he also does like some production stuff. Tabora Mitsi or some, I hope I'm saying that correctly and stuff. And this is his opinion, which he's allowed to have. I live in a township. The channel should have been like small township, you know, whatever. But that's a mouthful. So that's why it's just small town DD. It's not small township DD. I felt like it's too much and like it's a lot. It's a lot of wording. And that's what I say to you guys all the time. So maybe I'm seeing it from that lens and stuff. I'm a person who's like a little bit a product of my environment and a little bit not, because I did spend a lot of time out of the environment, because you spend a lot of time in school and I schooled in the schools in town, but I still very much live in the same ghetto that I was raised in and stuff. And this is interesting to me when there's a new show and I think it's on Netflix and I can't remember the name and I'm not going to look it up. And it's basically like a ripoff of what is this thing that we're all enjoying? Succession. It's a Succession kind of telling of story and they put black faces there. I fucking hate stories like that. Because it's like, who are you telling the story to? Who are you trying to communicate to? Because it's not us. It's not us. Like, the Ackerman family has all of that nonsense happening. And I'm not suggesting that there aren't affluent black people who find themselves in these spaces. Because our favorite Isidingo, we had, you know, families in there that were in charge of the mines, sort of a Ramaphosa kind of figure type of family. And so they exist, but they exist in a way where it's believable. So when you're saying that you would rather tell the stories of like the village life and or the affluent life and not romanticize the existence, because apparently if you're a township, you're in the middle somewhere, not romanticize the existence of the township. You know, the people responsible for storytelling should also be made to study other things, and I like things that just make them socially alert and more awake. It's like, are the bitches on Ozempic for weight loss? Yes. Was Ozempic created for that? No. Is it working for the bitches for weight loss? Yeah. What was intended for this township to be does not mean that's exactly what it is, which is shocking to hear creative be so fixed in their understanding of something when the whole idea of being a creative is that your brain moves differently. Like, it's malleable, it's constantly deconstructing and constructing and putting apart and putting back together, and that's how your brain works or supposed to work, you know, unless you're just posturing, like trying to be in spaces where you don't belong. Because you can't tell me there aren't good stories to tell about the ghetto, and then telling those good stories about the ghetto is therefore romanticizing the existence of the ghetto. And you're either going to tell this or tell that, acting as if existing in like upper echelons means that you are automatically removed from any kind of violence that is expected in a high pressure, like a pressure cooker kind of system, like a concentration camp, which is what the township is described to be. And I'm not going to come away from the fact that, yes, the design of the township, it was meant to do certain things, but our ability to grow economies in these very spaces, have a life, flourish, build families, speaks to our resilience. And that's the story you need to worry about telling. That this is what they tried to do, but this is what has happened. And it's not to say there's not violence in our spaces, but when you perpetuate those like notions that are nonsensical about the spaces that we come from, you make it an exclusively black problem. You're perpetuating the stereotypes that violence is inherent in us. It's a characteristic that only we possess. Because you're almost saying it only happens because they're in this environment. Like Henry Vander what didn't hick the fuck out of his entire family and blamed a black masked man in their big house somewhere in fucking Constantia. Huh? Also, like Oscar didn't shoot that girl in a nice little neighborhood somewhere. There's no space where the like humans are experiencing life that's void of violence. Some environments, yes, will make it worse. But to say you're not gonna tell the stories of the ghetto as a creative, because it's giving like respectability politics a little bit. It's giving, I'm gonna tell a story. It's like I bet you he is a Bill Cosby kind of guy, not supporting him through the rape stuff, but it's giving very much that rhetoric of Bill Cosby of, I'm going to write the show where these black Americans are going to get to see a house with like a mom and a dad and a lawyer wife who we never see lawyering and a doctor husband, and they're going to see that we too can play this game of like whiteness, which is correctness, which is what we all aspire to. This is the story I'm going to tell, and if I'm not telling this, I'm going to go tell the story of like a romanticized village life of Onezwa. Basically, we can tell that there's money with Onezwa, by the way. I don't know if people think we're missing that. Me liking her over Nara or whatever the issue is doesn't mean I can't tell that her existence is not a typical village life. It's not. The typical village life is a woman tracking for a day to try to get to a clinic so she can get her prenatal vitamins. So there's nothing to fucking romanticize there either. The lack of infrastructure, there's nothing to romanticize there either. But we get stuck in these spaces where we're like, oh, the whites are watching. And that's what we have to get to here. The white people are watching. And so the white people are watching. We have to see them that even we can exist in a space where we're so rich and we're having like succession problems. See, there's no resonance in me with that storytelling. It doesn't sit real. It just, something about it is forced. We don't relate to, it's forced because a lot of the actors themselves are so far removed from those experiences that their portrayal of their stories don't make sense. I was watching The Financial Diet a while ago, and I remember that Succession worked for a number of reasons. And one of them is that they had experts online, like on site, to correct little nuances that we would not pick up on, but when we're watching, they make for a believable watch. One of the things that they spoke about was the issue of there's a lot of choppers in the show. People are constantly taking a chopper from downtown wherever to like short little distances, right? Just obscene, right? And one of the experts online was watching, I don't know who was, and she was like, the person was instructed not to duck. When you're heading for the chopper, don't lower your head like that because you think the little blades or whatever. You've been getting in choppers your whole life, right? You're like stinking, filthy, can't comprehend rich. You know where they are. You automatically know where they are because you've been getting in this chopper your whole life. A poor bitch needs to do that because she doesn't know, like, she's gonna duck a bet in the way. You're experienced at this. It's second nature to you. It's not gonna occur to you that you gotta do that. It's those little things that when you're watching, I didn't pick up on it, but there's a confidence to a Kendall, a way that he moves, that he was coached, that do this and do that. Versus if I'm watching a local production trying to portray the same kind of like obscene wealth, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but you as Tabo, you're so far removed from that world, yet you're trying to tell the story of that world. So your production is not coming together nicely. It's not believable. It's not at my chatters, the same way we don't like when people who don't come from our world try to tell our stories and we know they're not going to do our existence justice. Same. Not that wealthy people deserve to have their narrative like told. Like, I don't, that's not even the chat I'm making. I'm saying it doesn't land because of that. And I know some of you love to watch it. I'm not knocking you. You love that escapism. You love to see an existence so far removed from yours. I use reality television for that. I understand why somebody would be drawn to a production that's like portraying like black opulence and all of that stuff. I just really think, what is it for? Like that, I think that's my main issue. It's like, who is it for and what is it for? Because it's not for us. It is definitely trying to communicate something to other people about blackness and things about blackness that bother you, and you're trying to correct the narrative, hence the respectability politics element of things. When you could just tell your stories and not give a shit about whether or not the next person is going to respect it, like respect your existence or how much you've managed to make it work. And I don't even get mad at people who never want to come back to the ghetto. I understand we're not all having the same experience in this environment. I even encourage sometimes that in certain instances, some of you do too well for your environment, and staying in that space will only get you hurt, because when people are scrambling about for resources, no, they don't like to see somebody else who's doing great in that same environment, and you are going to attract a lot. I understand all of that, but being in charge of, or being somebody whose job is to, you're essentially a taste maker, and your job is to tell, you can't be a storyteller and then be so invested in hollowness. Like there's no depth to what was said here. And if art is to like imitate life and vice versa, and these are the people in charge of like building these narratives and feeding them back to us, then we're in trouble. We are so very in trouble. I read that's just on. I was very like ick. Like he needs to do it. I don't know. He needs to do a little bit more work there, and understand that there's a way to do something without trying to sugarcoat the existence and the experience of that thing. Violence happens in all spaces. It's not an inherent like a township experience, like strictly and exclusively a township experience. It's not. We have good lives here, full lives. I'm sitting here and I am in a fucking township. I've got a camera on and I am communicating within, it's happening in this ghetto. It's such an erasure of our fullness, our diversity, our, I don't like it. That's the point. It's very narrow and it needs work. And I'm not surprised, because men, black men who desperately just want to be white men and have fully bought into the performance of whatever it is they think will inch them closer to being a white man. That's how this is happening. You cannot leave storytelling and passing down of, it's never even been their job. It's never been their job. It was always ours to tell stories and pass down culture and traditions. That's why they don't know how to do it. Constantly trying to fucking be us. God damn. Mwah, bye, yella.